It's subtle. No one insults you and no one argues. They just don't take you seriously. But here's the real question. Why does your family still treat you like the person you were years ago, even though you've changed completely? You speak and it passes. You decide and it's questioned. You set a boundary and it's laughed off. They see the younger one, the emotional one, the one who always needed guidance. But your life isn't small anymore. You've carried responsibility, loss, and growth. So, what's really happening here? In this video, we'll look beneath the surface and the Stoic way to shift it, without drama. What feels like disrespect is usually something quieter. It's not that your family secretly hates you or wants to hurt you. Most of the time, it's two forces quietly working in the background: familiarity and frozen roles. First, familiarity. When people see you every day, they stop updating their picture of who you are. They don't notice the small shifts, the quiet growth, or the harder choices you've had to make. To them, you're just you, the same face at the same table. Second, frozen roles. Families freeze people into roles without even realizing it. The emotional one, the strong one, the one who always needed advice, or the one who never finishes things. You can change your habits, your values, and your entire way of living, but their mental file on you might still be 10 years old. So when you speak now, from a calmer, wiser place, they don't always hear the person you've become. They hear the old role they assigned to you long ago. This isn't about blame. It's about seeing the structure clearly. Because once you understand that it's familiarity and frozen roles at work, you can respond like a Stoic, with clarity, not resentment. So, what do most people do when they feel dismissed? They try to correct it. They explain more, defend more, and push harder to be understood. They raise their voice slightly, or sharpen their tone, or repeat themselves with more intensity. And for a moment, it feels justified. But here's the quiet problem. The more you push for recognition, the more you reinforce the old role, because now you're reacting. And reaction looks familiar. It confirms the version of you they already believe in. The emotional one, the defensive one, the one trying to prove something. And proving rarely creates respect. Calm consistency does. So what does a Stoic do when family still sees the old version of them? They stop performing for an updated image and start anchoring in who they actually are now. Instead of chasing recognition in every conversation, they quietly decide who they want to be and then act from that place, regardless of who notices it today. That means you don't argue to update your reputation. You don't beg to be seen. You speak once, clearly, without urgency, and then you let time and consistency do what one intense conversation never can. Because the truth is, most people don't update their image of you because of a single speech you gave them. They update it when your behavior stops matching the old story. Over and over and over again. This is what it means to become internally settled. You're no longer waiting for the room to give you permission to be who you are. You live it, calmly, until even the most stubborn stories have to adjust to what's right in front of them. So why does your family keep pulling you back into the old version of yourself, even when you're clearly trying to change? It's not always because they're cruel. Often it's because they're trying to keep their own emotional world stable. Think of your family like a mobile hanging from the ceiling. Every person is a piece on that mobile. When one piece moves too far, the whole structure starts to wobble. If you suddenly become calmer, more boundaried, and less reactive, to you, that feels like growth. But to them, it can feel like the whole emotional balance is being disturbed. If they're used to you being the one who absorbs tension, then when you stop doing that, the tension has to go somewhere else. If they're used to you over-explaining and over-apologizing, then when you stop, they have to confront their own side of the pattern. And most people don't like that. So they don't say, wow, you're becoming healthier. They say things like, you've changed, you're distant, or you're making this complicated. In reality, what they often mean is, you're not playing your old part, and now I have to feel things I'm not used to feeling. When you see this clearly, you don't have to take their resistance as a verdict on your growth. You can see it for what it is, a very human attempt to drag the system back to what feels familiar. And once you understand that, you can stop begging them to approve of your change and quietly keep becoming who you're meant to be. So what does calm consistency actually look like? It looks like speaking once, clearly, and not chasing agreement. It looks like making a decision without over-explaining it. It looks like holding a boundary without emotional charge attached to it. You don't rush to fill silence. You don't argue to win. And you don't correct every misunderstanding. Instead, you allow your behavior to repeat itself. Steady, predictable, grounded. When you remain emotionally unchanged in situations that used to trigger you, people notice. Not immediately, but gradually, and gradual shifts tend to last longer than dramatic ones. You're not demanding a new role. You're embodying one. And over time, the room adjusts. There's a harder question underneath all of this. What if they never change? What if they never fully see your effort, never fully understand your growth, or never apologize the way you wish they would? What then? If your peace still depends on their recognition, then your peace is still in their hands. And that's not stoic. The stoic move is not to pretend you don't care. It's to care in a different order. You still prefer to be seen accurately. You still prefer to be treated with respect. But your self-respect doesn't sit on their behavior anymore. It sits on how you show up, again and again, regardless of whether they ever give you the moment you're secretly waiting for. At some point, you stop living for the scene where they finally understand you, and you start living from an inner standard they cannot take away. That shift is quiet, but once it happens, you're no longer asking your family to give you what they may never be able to give. You're offering them a steadier version of you, whether they recognize it or not. Not loudly, not dramatically, but steadily. Over time, something shifts. The way you enter a room changes. The way you speak in a conversation changes. The pauses you now hold land differently. People may not name it, but they feel it. You'll notice it first in strangers, in new contexts and new relationships, where the steadiness you built at home travels with you. Then, slowly, family begins to meet a different version of you, not because you performed change, but because you became it. And that's the quiet reward. Not revenge, not vindication, just a quiet presence that no longer needs permission to exist. You now carry yourself the way a calm person carries themselves, with self-possession, with an absence of urgency. And that accumulates. Sometimes the deepest growth in life goes unnoticed, not because it isn't real, but because it's quiet. You've outgrown arguments you once needed to win and reactions you once couldn't control. You've outgrown versions of yourself that others may still remember, and that's not something to force, it's something to carry, calmly, with steadiness. Family dynamics may take time to adjust. Some may never fully adjust, but your composure doesn't depend on that. It depends on how you choose to show up. And when you choose steadiness over urgency, you step into a different kind of strength, the kind that doesn't need to announce itself. If this perspective resonates with you, this channel is built for that kind of quiet strength. Take your time. stay steady, and I'll see you in the next reflection.